when I give a tour at the Ivan Jadan Museum, my two favorite things to point out to people are the two things that Ivan was able to escape with from the Soviet Union. And one was just this simple fishing line. And, he couldn't carry much. He walked out and he kept this with him, and he caught fish to live here in Cruz Bay Harbor. And it's just, it's kind of a neat thing. But the one other memento that Ivan kept for his whole life was this cigarette case, and it was given to him by Ataturk, who, as most people know, was the leader of Turkey. And Ivan sang in Turkey. One of the first times he left the Soviet Union, and he was amazed, and Ataturk was amazed, and he pretty much adopted him as a son. And that was in 1935. He gave this to Ivan, and it's just funny that the story Doris tells is that Ivan said, "Oh well, I don't smoke," and of course it's a gold cigarette case, and it's more of a treasure than anything. But he kept it, and he I think when he left the Soviet Union, he was possibly even hoping to get to a place like Turkey where artists could explore their personal freedoms.
To continue what Bob was saying about the fishing line, that marvelous one that never got destroyed, Ivan loved to fish. To fish was for him the most fun he could have. And even was in the Soviet Union, he always was waiting for the holidays to fish. On St. John, he fished not for sport, though it was sport, but to get food. And here is a beautiful example of a red snapper, large, caught on an uninhabited key close to St. John. And look at it. And see how big is Ivan and the fish, and how clear the water is. So that fish actually didn't get eaten where it was caught. We had no need to catch fish, and guess what? We'd brought along a cooler with lamb chops from New York. No problem. We ate the lamb chops then, we ate the fish like that. Come over here, though, and look at this one. Can you see that? Here's a picture of a fish of Ivan holding what is locally called a high-forehead lady, also known as an African pompano or a permit. But the point of this is that it was one of the biggest, sweetest fish he caught early on. This was back in the late 50s, and he caught the fish, and we had no way to do anything but cook it with gas and eat it. Well, it was too much to eat for the two of us, and so that was no problem. All of our friends loved sharing our fish. And I made my first gefilte fish, and we fed 40 people. By the way, the number 40 in the story of this museum is just ongoing. 40 years for so much. Anyhow, there it is, Ivan with the high-forehead lady. Sweetest meat fish I can remember. Right out here in Cruz Bay. There were only 2 boats at the time. We lived, summertime was here all the time. The living was easy. And hey, that great George Gershwin theme, and from Porgy and Bess actually, comes straight from Borodin, which made Ivan laugh with joy, the way anybody can take anything and sing it. That's good. Okay, the living was easy when you could eat pompano.
I'll stand here, and you can explain it. And you stand with me because I don't have a mic on. Come.
But you'll do it? Will you do it?
No, I'm just standing here while you talk.
But will you make the motions?
No more motions.
Cap. You've got to raise off your cap for Svobodnaya.
See, I don't know about that.
I'm going to tell you though.
No. You're going to tell the camera.
Just a moment. Anybody got a cap around this damn place? Just a cap. All I need is a cap, okay? No. Svobodnaya. It's a... Okay. I'm scalping.
Okay.
If I may be allowed to continue without the drama required. A few words, but they're crucial. Just where Bob withdrew, this is where the song tells the story of the freedom fighter, the irrepressible, undaunted 20-year-old freedom fighter. He's being sent to Siberia. You hear him say, Sibiri. His hands are crossed. He's been handcuffed. But he says, Siberia, будет свободная земля. Svobodная is freedom. Free, free. That's the key to the museum, to Ivan's life, to John's life, to Bob's life, to the life of this museum. Svobodная земля. And then at the end, when that high C comes, he takes off his cap and with his handcuffs, notwithstanding, and they take him off to Siberia. But the point was, this song, when heard in the US, couldn't sing in Russia, meant, hey, that's where the guy is coming from. He believes in freedom, even Siberia.
Пойдешь гулять ты днем и вечерком, из-под шапки чуть-чуть так и вьется, ах ты так и вьется по ветру. Из-под шапки чуть-чуть так и вьется, ах ты так и вьется по ветру.
Cut.
A happy ending to a scary story of freedom is this picture, I think. It was taken in 1985 by a good friend, Jane McGuire, and it shows Doris and Ivan in clothes, maybe cut from the same cloth. Freedom fighters do well in clothes like that. The beauty of the picture, to me at least, is absolute joy that Ivan feels, and the absolute joy that I feel standing behind him or close to him. And hey, that was the way to go, and we did. We went that way. See you here at the museum.